I'm doing. Does anybody know what I'm doing? I don't think anybody knows what I'm doing. Because I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't even know I'm streaming. One way to find out. Call my boy Dibs. Let me just text him real quick. Dibbikins, where is you? Boom. Dibs. Dibbles is my. Wait, why am I texting Dibs? I can just check on my wife's computer. I'll be right back. Okay. Oh. Oh fuck! I done fucked up my camera. This is a very rudimentary setup. Oh, excuse me. Very rudimentary, but pretty genius if you think about it. Got these second chances. I'd probably wake my wife up because I know she was like super into me opening these. She was like super hyped. I just kept waiting to do it. But like, she's napping, so I'm not gonna do that. That'd be very rude. My son! My son! Lib boxes, yes. Yes. I know my boy Dro wanna watch it. Let me just tag his ass real quick. How are y'all feeling? Y'all doing good? I hope y'all are doing good. I'm sorry for not being around. I'm a terrible father, I'm well aware. Oh, I'm a peep. Bet. Yeah, I just had to let the homies know I'm streaming, you know? Yelled at me last time we talked. I mean, fair, but like at the same time, like, it was very important stuff, okay? I didn't mean to yell. I'm sorry. I'm just matching your volume. If there's any errors in the stream, by the way, just let me know. I'm not gonna fix them, but you can just let me know. It's genetic. We're all allowed. We record these. Yeah. I just need to keep pimping myself out real quick. Like I'm gonna put all my self promo shit. I'm trying to become not famous. I'm trying to become the opposite of famous, which is perfect because that's where I am right now. Like the goal. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we're gonna play League. Okay. Are you winning, son? I'd be watching now. Bet. I mean, I'm not doing anything. I'm literally just opening packs of Pokemon cards. Pokemon card. Actually, I'm a dad now. It's Pokemon cards. I feel uninvited. What am I doing? Seems a lot easier when like I did stream actively and I just post my links everywhere and just make it a lot easier. But I don't do that anymore. I don't put myself out like no more. I just realized like the bot. I know you can still see the chat. I don't care. It's not that deep, really. All right, you know what? I don't particularly care about posting my link in all the servers I'm in. I don't give a fuck. Let's just get into it. Yeah. How's that sound? So I already opened the boxes, or like the big box anyway. This one here to get the packs out. Oh, my wife is awake. What the fuck? Hi. So I don't know how I'm gonna do this because, quite frankly, I'm new to this. Just woke up, bet. So I'm gonna open it on my main webcam, and then once I get them open, I will show you the cards down here. There's a little bit of lag because I'm streaming a phone to my computer to do this because I don't feel like getting a second camera. So we're doing it my way. I don't give no fucks. I'm gonna keep the codes for you though, babe. These codes belong to you. Why are these so fucking hard to open, dog? I'm struggling with my first pack. I'm not built for this. Yo, what up, Jay? What's going on, my guy? Okay, I don't know why I'm struggling with the first pack. Like, what the fuck is happening right now? You know what? There's a simple solution. There really is. Want me to show you? I don't particularly care. I'm just gonna grab scissors and just cut the pack open. Because I'm an old man. How's the fam? So, baby is napping currently. That's giving me the opportunity to do this right here. To open cards and shit. It's a little riskier. Not if you know what you're doing. Besides, I can be like that one guy. What the fuck? This shit's tight as hell. Okay, here we go. Boom. Put the code thing aside for wifey. Alright, what do we got? Oh no, the camera's not hot. My camera's not tall enough. What if I just do it sideways like this? Alright, I was not prepared for this. I did not test run this. I don't particularly care either. But you know, it is what it is. So we got an Abra. We got a Diglett. We got a Drowsy. Oh, I see something shiny back there. We got a Bulbasaur. I need to clear more desk space. I thought I could do this. Scyther, one of my favorite Pokemon. Ooh, Charmeleon. That's cool. Ferris, a Grabber. That's what I am. A Grimer. A fucking Christ. The fuck is this? The fuck is he doing? What is this? I saw something shiny, got my hopes up, and it was a fucking Mr. Mime. And then a green energy. Fucking Mr. Mime. Who invited Mr. Mime to the party? I certainly didn't. Cool. First pack done. I don't know where I'm going to put these. I should have gotten like a nightstand or something. Raised with one of the... I tried that earlier, actually. The only problem is you can see where the box is. So I could try raising up again. But like, I need a really small box. Like, tiny. I have to run this ultra wide. So like, if I can, hold on. I'll put yourself. Be right back, and I can show you. That sounds great and all, but like, I'm trying to get this done and over with. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to be in and out. Like, I'm at work. Let's see something. Wait a minute. I think we got something here, boys. Oh no, you can see the pink piece that's holding my camera up. Boom. That kind of works. Alright, I mean, y'all can't see the piece I was holding it, so it don't really matter, do it. I thought this shit was gonna be like opening a candy bar. It is not like opening a candy bar. Also, USA is winning against Germany 1-0, in case anybody's curious. It's my wife. Old SSD box. Nah, that's too long. What? Here. You were saying? You're struggling just as much as I am. Yes. Yeah, but it's not as neat as the way I did it. All right, here. Take these codes. Take your codes. I don't want your stinking codes. All right, let's see if this works any better. So we got a pony set. I should have put the cable on. I should have flipped my camera. All right, hold on. We're gonna experiment real quick. You just saw my entire setup. I don't give no fucks. Baby? Oh wait, I can't. Oh, what's up, Pedro? Yeah, no, this ain't gonna work. So we're just gonna. Oh no! The entire thing's falling apart. All right, we're just gonna stick to what I know. This is working. Let me not fuck with it, okay? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a professional. Oh no, you can see the piece of phone that's holding my phone up now. Alright, I don't particularly care anymore. Ugh. I should have flipped the camera. Wait a minute. Yeah, no, I don't care. Alright, so we got a Ponyta, a Pikachu, a Farfetch, Old Amber. Hey, it's you! A Snorlax, cool. Sandslash. Haunter. A Reverse Hollow Sandshrew, cool. Reverse Hollow Jigglypuff, and Jolteon, yay! And then our basic ass energy. Whack. I'm gonna put Jolteon. I stole a bunch of your sleeves, by the way. What's up? What's that? You said you want me to light them all on fire? I'll gladly do that. I have such a rudimentary setup. I love it. It's as janky as I am as a person. Oh no, my baby's awake. Oh no. My baby's awake, boys and girls. Luckily, mom's awake too, so I'm just hand those duties off to her. Oh. Well, this pack was a lot easier to open. I should have gotten a trash can. Put the code aside for the wife. Actually, I want to try something. I want to make a quality of life decision. Quality of life. I'm here. I'm still here, by the way. I'm just trying something here. I'm gonna do this. Alright. Maybe this will make my life a little easier. Boom. Alright, and then we just gotta connect to my Johnski. No glasses. That's wait. Why are there two? Why are there two things? Why? That's trippy. I did not approve that. All right, I gotta take my glasses off though. For how long? It's different, you know. Like normally, if I take my glasses off, it's for a game of League. Oh, oh, oh. Um, okay, so we're gonna do this real quick. Let's go back to here. Um, so my thing is frozen. I need to change that. I might have to restart the stream, depending on how badly this fucks up. One pack? Alright, bet. I just temporarily need my glasses for this part because I'm troubleshooting live on stream, which not very bright, but who cares? What if I did delete and just re-add it? Oh boy. Conflicted. Yes. Excuse me. Oh, hold on. I think we got something going. All right, bet. Oh boy. Okay, I like this angle a little better. Now we are going to. Okay, boom. We're getting somewhere here. Like that. And then we just gotta crop it to size. So yeah, as you can see, I'm literally using a cell phone to stream this shit. What's up? I'll open you by your seams. See, I'm doing live editing. How great is this? Actually, need to see what's going on over here. Third. Boom, and we back. Like it's like magic, bro. All right, I'm taking my glasses off for you. I mean, I'm already dyslexic, so reading was never my strong suit. All right, Slowpoke, Growlithe, Geodude, Jigglypuff, Cloyster, Giovanni's Charisma, right on, Reverse Hollow Persian, cool, a Magton, and ooh, Gengar, he's a cool one, and a regular basic. I'm gonna put this in Sleevey Boy. Is somebody saying something? I see a different name pop up. I can't see it, if that makes sense. What did Dro say? Oh, damn, I look like that fucking meme right now. Hey, baby, you want to tell me what Dro said? Alright, let me put this in a sleeve first, and then I'll put my glasses back on. That is painful. Okay. My fast cells are grading for the pulse. Hey, thank you. Thank you. Let's collect these back up. How you doing, Dro? How's your Saturday feeling? Also, baby is awake. Baby is awake. I also I ordered the Zapdos John and the Alakazam John. Those should be here sometime next week. What is it? Is it one of the Fiber One Johns? Sure. I'm just gonna fucking manhandle these packs at this point. I give no fucks. Putting all your cards over there. The codes. Alright, so we got the second pack, or third pack here. Slept till 3. Hey, let's fucking go. I woke up at 1. It was amazing. So I got a Pidgeot, a Magmar, a Shelder, a Buzzsprout, a Golduck, a Pinsir, Bills Transfer, Reverse Hollow Horsey, Reverse Hollow Meowth, and a Wheezing, cool, and a Basic Energy. I actually have a Quaxley set aside for John because I know how much he likes ducks. I don't know how long I'll be streaming for. I don't know how many packs I'm gonna open on stream. I guess it really depends on how I'm feeling. I know that I'm gonna be trying to watch the UFC fights tonight, so excuse me. So we'll see. We shall see. Bro, I'm really about to manhandle these fucking packs. Will I? Oh, hold on, I see a little. There we go. There we go. We got a little something over here. All right. Throw the card away for Babe. So, Dave's on the most expensive pull. That's funny, dog. Also, did you know that the Zapdos packs or the booster box aren't sold in store? I found that out when I ordered my box last night. Got a Horsey, Nidoran, Abra, Diglett, Golbat, Leftovers, version, Krabby, Reverse Hollow. Ooh! Look at this. Ooh, and the Mew! Let's go. Or the Mewtwo, excuse me. There's two Mews. I like ye. And, ooh, a Hollow Energy. Cool. Also, you're gonna have to fight Amber for my pulls. She will literally murder you. She's tried already with me 3 times. Gladly. Are these big hits? I have no idea. I just think they're super cool. Hey, let's go. Personally, I don't care about the pricing of this stuff. It's just because, like, you know, as we were kids, we grew up with this generation of Pokemon, so being able to see them is super awesome. That's why I got them, because of the artwork is dope. Yeah. Do we put hollows in sleeves? For even the energies? Because growing up, like, you know, energies weren't shit for us. It's a great one. Nice, nice, nice. That's what I like to hear. Alright, I'm gonna need to find some more space for these bitches somewhere. Alright, let's get these out of here. Then, what's it called? When I'm done, I'll send y'all a picture of my... I'm gonna organize them in a binder and send y'all pics. Yes. Wifey's looking at the prices here. $42? Hey! That's like a whole nother box. 36, that's still not bad. It's a great one. EX special arts are harder to pull. Did not know this. I don't know any of this. Yeah, that Charmander? Oh, okay. I know Feige pulled his Charizard not too long ago. With all my pulls, I made $60. Hell yeah. Are you actually gonna sell or not? Because personally, I think I'm gonna just keep them. Because it's like, again, just reminds me of my childhood. What am I playing nowadays? I've been playing a lot of Valorant with the homies. I'm waiting for First Ascendant to come out full-fledged. I'm still trying to finish FIFA, dog. Like, FIFA has... I've been playing forever, and I still haven't finished my campaign. Which is super annoying, because I only have 5 games left in the season. And I still haven't finished it. Alright. So we got a Magikarp. An Oddish. And Mankey, one of my favorite Pokemon, not gonna lie to you. Primeape is my dude. Meowth, Graveler, Arcanine, Kingler, Reverse Hollow Eevee. Oh shit, look at this! Is this worth money? The fuck is this? This is cool! And then... Oh! I got a Charizard! Let's go! Let's go! What is this? Oh my god! And then a basic ass energy. What? I got a Charizard. I'm happy. I'm content. Stream's over. I'm going to bed. All I wanted was a Charizard. I'm done. Mission complete. That's so sick. Oh my god, that's all I wanted was a Charizard. My life, let's call it, my childhood is complete now. What's up? Yeah, I need a special art. Word, word, word. Yeah, because there's like what? You said there was 3 Charizards. So I'm down for whatever. $7. Alright, bet. So far I'm hearing good things. The EX Charizard is what I want, okay. The one he's flying in the air, okay. Alright. Throw your cards over here. What do we got here? So we got a Drowsy, a Bulbasaur, a Slowpoke, a Growlithe, a Muck, which has come backwards, Daisy's Help, Venomoth, Dugtrio, hey, another Charmander, or Charmeleon, excuse me. Nidoking, let's go. And a basic ass entry. Cool Nidoking. Go ahead and put him in one of these bad boys. Oh. And then, like I said, the rest of this I'm gonna organize and put in. Who doesn't love cum? Once I have in the binders, I'm gonna go through them and then put the ones I want in the sleeves properly, the reverse hollows and all that. I might end up like Dave and have like a bunch of duplicates of the reverse hollows. Speaking of cum, wifey made this banging ass pasta last night. Basically nutted when I ate it. It was amazing. She killed that shit. Thanks again, babe. Alright, let's see what we got. Impact number whatever the fuck. Oh, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's about like 7 card codes over here, so that means I'm on like pack 7 probably. Execute. Not very cute, but execute. Clefairy. Machop. Porygon. Hey, another Snorlax. Sandslash. Another Haunter. Porygon. Diglett. Ooh, Articuno. Nice. And then, hey, another Hollow Energy. Cool. I got one of Legendary Birds. I'm guaranteed a Legendary Bird sometime next week. Anybody here still play Pokemon Go? What was your squad? I got Moltres. Yeah, Babe's got a Moltres. I was Team Instinct, by the way, so Zapdos all the way. You were Instinct also. Yeah, because my wife's a biter. She doesn't think for herself sometimes. She's like, babe, what are you going? I'm like, I'm going Instinct. She's like, I'm going Instinct too. I'm like, but are you Instinct? Nah, Articuno? Nah, bro. Okay. Need a Bunsao. Yes! Yes! What's called? My mom makes those like every weekend sometimes. And like I don't know why, but she overcooks as if people still live there. You know? So like she'll end up like, hey, can I come over to drop off food? I'm like, yes, absolutely. You want to drop off food? By all means. I need to get rid of some of these socials and what, like the commands and the auto pop-ups. I'm not on here enough for these like those notifications anymore. Hey, shout out to my boys Goalkeeper. They just dropped in a cover of Always by Blink-182 not too long ago, a part of Smart Punk's compilation. Y'all should go listen to that. There's like 3 bands that haven't been announced yet that are gonna be on the album. I think it's gonna be kind of cool. like a secret. All right, so Dodrio, or no, that's a Dodo. Tentacle, Rattata, Squirtle, Butterfree, a Seaking, Lapras, cool. Executor, Reverse Hollow, Jigglypuff, and ooh, Ninetales, let's go! And ooh, a holographic fighting. Ninetales is fucking sick. I love Ninetales. I don't stream on Twitch anymore. I mostly do YouTube now. But we definitely got to link up since gaming season is starting. Gaming season is not starting, okay? It's father season year round now for me. I don't get opportunities anymore to play games. And when I do, it's like at 5 in the morning. Check for swirls on your hollow energy. Okay. I'll see what's going on there. So I got my Ninetales. I got a fighting energy. Let me show y'all if there's any swirls on this one. Maybe y'all can point something out that I don't see. Because I don't see a lot of things. I'm probably going to take them out of this one. But let's see here. Y'all see anything? I see some swirlage over here. Yeah, there's a swirl there. I should have set up my second camera over here. Or not my second camera, my second light. I don't know where that one is, though. I was more so concerned about y'all being able to see the cards, because my desk gets pretty dark. Alright. I think it's halftime in the USA versus Germany game. It's currently tied 1-1. Card over there for Babe. I'm gonna have such a mess to clean up after I'm done this. Alright, so we got Lickitung. Venonat. Who's fighting tonight? It's one of the UFC fight night kind of, so it's not like super big. But a homie, my boy Los, he's a tattoo artist. He tattooed one of the fighters that are on the card, so I'm watching mainly for that. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But it's a fight UFC Vegas 81, I believe. Got a Pidgey, a Metapod, another Haunter. Hitmonlee, cool. I like Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan are my guys. War Total, a Reverse Hollow Zubat. I just got another War Total? Just one's Reverse Hollow? The fuck? The fuck? A Ditto! And a basic ass energy. This thing's like... Oh, dude, the centering on this thing's garbage. We ain't gonna talk about that, though. Yeah, man, it's super sick. He got tatted by him not too long ago. I think he's, like, currently undefeated. I mean, I think he just made his pro debut not too long ago. Like, you know, whatever, you know. But he has, like... I think he's 8-0. Maybe 4-0? I can't remember. He's undefeated currently. I know that much. So, it's gonna be sick to see him. I think he's a middleweight? I didn't do a whole lot of research on him. Alright. I have a lot of packs to open up now I think about it. Alright, here we go. Got another Lickitung. Hey, thanks for the follow. Shout out Union. Pidgey. A Metapod. Fucking Pokemon? Yeah, man. This is stuff that we grew up with. I'm sorry if I assumed your age. But, like, these are Pokemon that we grew up with. They brought them back to sucker people like me into nostalgia and buy shit. And it worked. Got a Scyther. A Charmeleon. Chansey Reverse Hollow. Cool. A Paris Reverse Hollow. And ooh, it's Goofy and Charizard. And then a basic hollow. Eh. It's not focusing. It is what it is. Oh wait, hold on. Since we got Union in the chat, can we just veer off from Pokemon for a second? Just because I want to show off some of my soccer cards. I collect those. Not really. So I have one of the Ultra Premium, and then I have two of the Elite Trainers. But while you're here, I can show off these to you. I think you like these. Yeah? Yeah? What do we think? I mean, we'll see what happens. Oh yeah, you probably also saw these because you're in the Discord. But I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet, okay? So I got this guy. 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 Can you all guess who my favorite player is on the union? Now, if only we can keep him, that'd be fucking nice. Top now is number 6. There's a Kai Wagner now on eBay listed for $5 right now. I'm thinking about it. I don't know if it's numbered or not though. I should probably check that. All right, it's from when he got caught up to when he got the All-Star game. Yeah, a lot of people got back into COVID, got into Pokemon because of COVID too. I heard, what was it, Evolutions was like a remake of the cards that we actually grew up with. If I'd known about that, I probably bought a bunch of those too. Cause I actually, when did those come out, babe? Do you know? Yeah, I don't know when those came out. So it really depends on when those came out. Would have determined whether or not if I bought them. Because then it, I'd be in a different spot financially speaking. Evolution packs are expansive. Yeah. Well, I mean, but when they first dropped though. So got Ponyta, a Poliwag, a Farfetch, Soul Packs. Wow. Come up. I like it. Shoulder. Hypno. Poliwrath. A Pidgeot. Reverse Hollow Vulpix. And what is this? It's shiny. What is Switch? And then, ooh, Kabutops. And then what do we have as energy? Oh my goodness. All the shinies. A secret rare? Nice. Definitely gonna put these in sleeveys then. I'm so basic, bro. I just see something shiny, I'm like, oh, that's nice. I like it. I'm like a bird. Switch is $5. All right, all right. I wish I could buy a Nintendo Switch for $5. Let's make that happen. I'm gonna need more top loaders, I think. I'm using for whatever I want, babe. All right, that's fair. That's valid. It's just easier to stack them and then take them out after the fact. All right, so we have the second half of USA versus Germany, which is again a friendly. Starting up. All right, let's see. Got a bunch of packs to open. Is Tyler Adams back and playing? I got a stack of top loaders if you want them. They're just old and a little dusty. Oh no, we got a bunch of them downstairs, like brand new. I'm too lazy to go downstairs and get them. Oh wait, they're playing in Philly too. Like I was thinking about going to this game because they're playing in Lincoln Financial, but obviously I decided not to go. Also, anybody know the update, the score of the Flyers game? I stopped watching after it was 4-2. I don't know the outcome of that game. It really is 5-2. Ugh. Yo, Feech, how many Flyers games are you trying to go this year? Oh, the code, right? Code card goes away. Oh, it's Tuesday at the link? Right. Oh, right, it was Mexico. I'm tripping. There's just so much going on. Alright, so we got Poliwag. Pikachu! Yay! Farfetch. Parasite. Poster. Giovanni's Charisma. Ooh, Reverse Hollow Raichu. Nice. Hey, another one of these bad boys. Here you go, babe. This one reverse. And then a Beedrill. And a basic energy. She's like, what the fuck? I want one of those. There you go, babe. Your wish came true. Yeah, it's our second Charmeleon right there of the special art. One. So is the Philly. Yeah, Tuesday's gonna be crazy, dog. Because Tuesday is also the home opener for the Flyers. I know that much. Um, you only want to go to one game this year, Feej? Is that what you're saying? 'Cause I'm trying to go to a bunch. I'm trying to find things to do to keep myself preoccupied, to make it feel like I'm still social. That Charmander you got is 27 bucks. Well, that's a Charmeleon, not Charmander. Let me see here. Boop. Let's go digging real quick. Oh, Charmander. What the fuck's Charmander? No, this is one I just pulled. Right there. The flowers are at, but like it's just a matter of trying to keep myself busy. That's the one I just pulled, and then this is the one from earlier. Where are you at? Right here. The second one. See? So one of these is for the wifey now, because sharing is caring. Alright. I don't waste my money on flowers or mid. That's fair. That's valid. I don't blame you. Alright, get the code out. Wifey. So we got a Helix Fox. Fossil. Said Fox, the fuck. Slowpoke. Magmar, who has a butt head. Horsey. Midnight. Ooh, Tauros, nice. Kadabra. Protective Goggles. A Pidgeotto. Dugtrio, like, wifey's got like a million of these. Right here. I'm not gonna bother putting this one on top loader. If I mess this one up, I'll just take one of Bibs. Get rid of these. Knew your name looked familiar as fuck. Feech is also a part of a Union Discord. If you're active in there, which I don't think you are very much. In fairness, I'm not very active there either. Now you're in it. I remember when I joined, I gave you a link and you joined like literally the next day, if not the next hour. Although I know they've purged a lot of non-actives, so I meant to ask you about the Discord. Which Discord? My Discord? Because I don't have one anymore. I mean, I have one, but it's just there. Like, nothing happens there. I probably got effed. If you want another invite, let me know. I'll send you one. Shoulder. A Bellsprout. A Horsey. Nidoran. Butterfree. Lapras. Cycling Road. Come. It's come! I'm still in though. I haven't left. Just in case you... True, that's fair. I mean, I meant to like get rid of all the members. That way it's just not there anymore. But I never got around to doing that. Ooh, Blastoise! Let's go! And then a basic ass energy. Look at this guy. Look at him. Hey, I like it. So wait, now I just need Venusaur. And then I'll have the main evolutions of all the mains. Of all the starters. My camera fell. Tell Trevor you know him. You're not eat it, you're good. I actually met Trevor for the first time. I can't remember which game it was, but he was giving away the SOB hat. And I got that. I met him. It was cool meeting him. I'm not very active as far as like meeting people in person. I'm very awkward. So the less I interact with people, the better I think I am. That's not even to be like trying to be a dick or nothing like that. I'm just really awkward. I'm sure you guys are all swell people. Notice I said swell. Let's be real. It's Philadelphia, you know? Got a Blastoise. Hey, babe, would you be able to grab me some top loaders when you get a chance? No, I don't have to do it right now. I just want to get a chance. Thank you. I have none. Alright. So this is the last pack from the Ultra Premium Collection. And then I have 2 Elite Trainer boxes I need to get through. Oh shit, Germany on a fast break. Good defense! I lied, not good defense. Alright, that was good defense. Also, like, are they only streaming in English on FS1 or whatever they're streaming on? Because Peacock only has in Spanish. So I have it muted. I mean, I was gonna have it muted regardless. Codes for wifey. It's on TNT. Yeah, I don't have cable. Got Pidgey, a Poliwhirl, Kuna Matata, Poliwag, Graveler, Arcanine, cool. Kingler. It's so fun to seeing these again, dude. It's like just growing up, playing these games, watching the show. A Bill's Transfer, and a Basic Energy. Cool. Shiny cards are so cool. But yeah, like, hold on, is it still down here? Or did I, yeah, right here. I still got my DS with my Pokemon Yellow in it. Like, literally, loved Pokemon so much as a kid. I was very fortunate to have parents to buy me things. I can't thank them enough for that. Although, in fairness, I bought the Pokemon Yellow on my own accord. They bought me Blue for my birthday, though, when that came out. Oh, I need to open a box. Whoa! I was reaching for a pack that didn't exist. It was a Phantom pack. Okay. Get out of here. I'm not gonna show you all the promo stuff. Like, y'all probably know what that is. You can find that online. It don't matter. I'm just opening packs and then keeping them moving in. Need a Snorlax promo? I'll trade you one. I got 2 boxes. Alright. Okay, bye. I have shit to do. Hey, man, have fun, man. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you. Remember to eat something and stay hydrated, alright? I'm gonna swap these out real quick. Boom. Actually, move the hair tie. Actually, I need a hair tie. I can't just fuck that. Hair ties are important in this house. Those are worth money. Did I tell y'all earlier I was trying to change Winter's diaper, and she was not having it, like, at all. She was like pulling my hair out and shit. Like, what's up, bitch? You think you fuck around with me? Nah. Did Germany score a goal? Fuck you, Germany. They scored a goal against America. Whack. Well, these packs are like a million times easier to open. Why is that? Does Ultra Premium means you pay the luxury of having a more difficult time of opening? Alright, let's see. Porygon. Why is this upside down? Electabuzz. What the fuck is... Cuffin. Tangela? I don't know. Slowbro. Ivysaur, nice. Machoke. Machoke me out, you know what I'm saying? Vulpix. A Jigglypuff. Fuck you. And a basic. Yeah. Mr. Meme. I'm just gonna shuffle him into the void. Alright, let's go, America. Let's get another goal. Yeah, these are like a million times easier to open. What the hell? Oh, babe. Winter might be hungry. That's why I think she's up. Because she ate at 1. Alright, let's see. You got a Venonat. A Pidgey. A Poliwhirl. A Kuna Matata. I brain farted. Arcanine. Kingler. Snorlax. Dewgong. Dewgong, gong, 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 gong. Ghastly. Bioplume. And a basic energy. Nice. Very, very nice. Bunch of shiny cards. I like shiny. Wait, the Bill's transfer I pulled, is that worth anything? Or is that just a throwaway? These. Oh, I'm actually getting hungry. Okay, get rid of this. I'm gonna try to speedrun this. Poliwag, Ponyta, Pikachu, Farfetch, Slash, Haunter, Golduck, excuse me, Eradicate, another Poliwag, but reverse hollow. The umpteenth million times seen this guy today. Oh god, I keep touching my camera. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Don't yell at me. Alright, what do we got here? Oh no. Oh no. Did Germany score another goal? I think they did. Yeah, they did. That was terrible defense. What was Turner so far off his line? Where's the rest of the defense at? Like, how they just let him by? Alright, got a Coffin. Side up. Ekans. Cubone. Parasite. Giovanni's Cruz. Oyster. Ooh, Electabuzz. Reverse Hollow. Nice. Hey, another Alakazam. And a Flareon. Look at that. And last one is a basic energy. Hey, I have two of these today. Pulled two of these guys. My first Flareon. Cool. Yeah, another one. If I recall, you said that was a good pull. Well, yeah, because the special arts are apparently worth more. I'm going based off of whatever y'all say. I don't know jack digitally. Again, I'm just here to collect these because childhood memories. Ooh, this one, I feel like this one's shinier. Hold on. Put this on a sleeve and we're going to compare and contrast real quick. Alright, where's that other Alakazam at? I want to look at these. Because I feel like this one is shinier. No, I'm just tripping. Let's compare and contrast. Yeah, they're the same. I'm just tripping. Yeah, I'm just tripping. Oh, there you go. It's alright, I got him. He's back. Actually, let me see something quick. Yeah, okay, I did. What do we got? What do we got? Old Amber. Pidgeotto. Magmar. Shelter. Pinsir. Golbat. Ghost Transfer non-hollow. Reverse hollow Rhyhorn. Reverse hollow Victory Bell. Blastoise EX full art. Let's go. And a basic energy. I have two Blastoises now. How cool is that? I don't have any top loaders up here though. I need to go downstairs and grab some more. That's alright. We'll just put them somewhere safe. Two Blastoises though. Sick. Now we can see its feet. Okay, that's cool looking, huh? I still just need a Venusaur. If I can get a Venusaur and complete the starters, that'd be great. Gotta get ready for work, bro. Good seeing you, and I'll holla at you later. All right, bet. Yo, Jay, have a good day, man. Remember to eat something, stay hydrated. Appreciate you for coming through, man. Football has been well for you. Fuck the Cowboys. Who said that? That's crazy. Vulpix. Magnemite. Caterpie. Eevee. Grabber. Tingler. Energy Sticker. The fuck is this? reverse hollow. Hypno. Hey, another War Turtle. Fucking mimes everywhere, dog. Mr. Mime can fuck off. Such a meme. He's useless. I don't remember ever using him in the games because I don't think it was jack shit. Okay, the pile of Pokemon cards I have to my left right now is getting pretty fucking fat, though. Alright. Cubone. Have y'all heard the theory that Cubones are actually Charmanders who the mom died? And like they're wearing the skull of their mom, and that's why their tails like don't have flames to them, because their parents couldn't light their tail on fire or some shit like that. I found that to be very creepy, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense. Got a Vulpix, a Magnemite, a Caterpie, Tentacruel, cause this world is cruel, 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 cruel. Another Snorlax, Sandslash, Protective Goggles, another War Turtle. And a Arbok EX. Look at this. That's so cool. What is this? That's sick. And then basic energy. This is sick, dude. That art is amazing. Don't join my Discord server. Don't listen to Stream Elements. I don't have a server. That's sick. I like the art on that one. That was nice. That's cool. All right, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? A Bellsprout, a Magikarp, actually lock it on this. Will it? Hello? Does it not? No, I don't think it's gonna autofocus. Which is weird. If you think about it. Yeah, it is what it is. Oddish, Mankey, Machoke Meow, Dugong, Hitmonchan, nice. Venomoth. Ooh, what is this? Look at this Pikachu! This is sick, dude! And then a Machamp. This Pikachu is sick! Hell yeah! Much better than what I got earlier. And then, let's see the energy. Basic energy. Oh my god, this Pikachu is nice! $21, cool. 21, 21, 21, 21. See? I knew patience would pay off. I was waiting to open these up, and I'm getting a lot of things that I wanted. That's cool. Oh, dude, the margins on this Machamp is awful. Wife is like, are you gonna wait for the other boxes to show up the stream? I'm like, you know what? Nah, I said I'm gonna open them on Saturday, so I'm gonna open them on Saturday. I know if I feel so inclined to do it, I'll just do another stream with the other boxes, just the 2 boxes, and do something else. All right, last pack of the first Elite Trainer box. What do we got? What do we got? Got a Meow, Execute, Clefairy, Machop, Seaking, Butterfree. Butterfree. Lapras. Magnemite, reverse hollow. Deidre. Another Ninetales, sick! Basic energy. Wait, was this one stuck to Deidre? No, okay. That's not what it was. I got another Ninetales. Cool. Hey. What was that? Okay. Time to open the second box. The last box I have. Alright, it'd be cool if I got a Special Art Charizard or a Venusaur to complete the set. We'll see what happens here. Comes down to these last few packs. Even if I don't get what I want, it'll be cool nonetheless. It's been fun opening these packs and reliving some of my childhood. Yeah. Thank you. Have you been watching downstairs? No. Okay. Hold on, I can show you what I got though. What? No, I'm talking to you. So these are the ones I got while you were eating. So I got a second Alakazam. I got a Blastoise, an Arbok, a Pikachu, a Champ, and another Ninetales. Yeah. Yeah, every time I pull something, he's like, price! Price! Yeah. Okay. Alright, I'm just gonna put them in the top loaders anyway. If we run out, I'll just buy more. Like what, $5? How much are top loaders? $10, alright. What the fuck's that mean? Dragon Shield is a really, really good brand. I don't know what any of that means. Alright. Alright. Just give me a second here. I'm putting... if I make my money back, it's a good day. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, it'd be cool if I get a bunch of dupes, though. That way I don't have to sell my collection to... Wait, the fuck? There's a Pokemon sleeve in here. That's my wife's. Put that to a side. Spent 50 on the pack. You spent $50 on a pack? What the fuck? Oh, hold on. I should probably read the entire thing. If I'm money back, it's a good day. Like my Ghost Rare Dark Magician Girl, like $200. God damn. $50 on the box. Okay, okay. That's a good day right there, bro. Sell one card, you make your money back on a box, and you can just buy it. But no, buy another one. It's a fluid addiction. Self-funding. Most addictions, you don't get to do that. It's not self-funding. It's self-fucking. Alright, let's see what we got here. Pidgey. Move these to the side real quick. Got a Pidgey. A Venonat. A Lickitung. A Poliwhirl. Raticate. Erica's Invitation. Magneton. Nidorino. Seal. Ooh, Vaporeon, nice! And a basic energy. This makes me want to open my champions. Hey, yo. I mean, you do you, boo-boo. We ain't gonna stop you. I wish I could go back in time, though. You know what I mean? Hold on. It's like, if I knew what the prices of fossils back then were gonna be today for a box, easy money, bro. But, you know, hindsight's 2020. Although we all did say to our parents that one day Pokemon cards will make us money, and they just fucking laughed at us. Guess what? It's a career now. Like today, in today's day and age, there's jobs that didn't exist 10, 20 years ago. We carved our own paths. So shout out to the people that did that. Politics coming out of the game. Yeah, I think this is over for America. Shell's gotta be out of town next Thursday and Friday, so I might buy out. Hey yo, if you want someone to come over to open packs, if I ain't busy, I know Friday I'm busy. Thursday, I'm just gonna be at work, but I know Friday I'm busy. Paris, Ghastly, Voltorb, Krabby, a Fable, Tentacruel, cruel. Hey, another Hitmonlee, cool. Ooh, Rapidash. Oh shit! Hey, let's go! Gold Mew and a Vileplume. Hey, look at this! I didn't even have to buy the fucking promo box. I can just open one box and get one. That's sick. $15? Cool. Sick. Oh my god. How cool that is. I'm gonna leave that there while I grab sleeves for the box. Oh no, I'm running low on sleeves. Put these off to the side. No, right, the promo one is metal. Right. Right. You are correct on that one, my friend. You are correct. Alright, let's go ahead and put you off to the side. Open another pack. Alright, let's see. What do we got? Throw the code to the side for the wife. We got a Kuna Matata. Poliwag. I feel like the pairings on these are pretty simple. Like, you see a Poliwag, you're gonna see a Ponyta, stuff like that. Pikachu. Hey, a Nidoqueen. Cool. Victory Bell. Big Air Balloon. That's a big ass balloon. Horsey. Voltorb. Ooh, this is cool. Another Flareon. Sick. And a basic energy. Another Flareon. These out of the way. I have a fun time putting these in order in a binder. I tell you what. I don't know why. It's like something soothing about organizing something. Like, I don't organize a lot of things, but like when things are numbered and you know that there's one, like X is supposed to go where X is and stuff like that, it's just something super satisfying about it. Like when I completed the McDonald's pack, that set, it was just super cool to look at my binder and see them all there, all 15 of them. All right, let's see. We got Sandshrew, Steel, Pseudo, Tentacle, another Wartortle. Got like 15 of those now. Wrath, Eevee, Sandslash. Hey, another Arbok. Let's go. And a Hollow. Nice. Another Arbok. Sick. Sick. Beep beep. Going to haunt. All right. We're rolling. All right. That's 2 Arboks, 2 Flareons. I get 2 Charizards? All right, we got a Farfetch, Old Amber, Pidgeotto, Magmar, Hero. Hey, that's the first one I hear. Onyx, Primeape, Dodrio, Clefable, Marowak. Nice. And a basic energy. Hey, there's something about Cubone and Marowak that I like about. I don't know what it is. But Primeape is one of my favorites. Mankey's one of my favorites. Probably because I'm born near the monkey. I'm just more keen on those guys. And the Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan are sick because they're named after Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan, obviously. I don't know where Hitmontop came from, though. Who's he named after? All right. It looks like we got 3 packs after this. Squirtle, Lickitung, Pidgey, Pidgeot, Manite, Porygon, another Mankey. Hey, Gyarados! I think that's my first one. Let's go. Hitmontop in Japanese. Oh. Thank you, Dro, for that information. That makes so much sense right now. That makes a million times percent like sense. You really do learn something new every day, everybody. That makes so much sense. You literally just blew my mind. Alright. Last 3 packs. Let's do it. Bellsprout, Shellder, Horsey, Nidoran, Dragonair. Hey, that's my first Dragonair. Nice. Seadra, Buto, Nidoqueen, another one. Oh, it's this one, Reverse Hollow. Golbat, and a Moltres. Hey, I got... Oh, I don't have all the birds yet. I gotta wait for my Zapdos. Did I get a Zapdos? No, I didn't. I got Zapdos coming sometime this week, but I got a Basic Energy and a Moltres. Sick, sick, sick. It'd be cool if I can pull a Zapdos, though. That would complete all the birds right now on the way until this week. Alrighty. When you open your Zapdos box, you're gonna... Yeah, that'd be sick. Alright, let's see. We got Venonat. We got Poliwhirl. We got Kunamatata. Poliwag. Kadabra. Slowbro. You gotta slow it down, bro. Ivysaur. Hey! Reverse Hollow Charmander. Sick, sick, sick. Drowsy. Another Raichu. And Electro. Another holographic Raichu. You love to see it. I don't know how true it is, but like there was supposed to be a 3rd evolution of Pikachu called like Megachu or something like that. Or not Garchu. I can't remember. I don't know how true that is. Alright, last pack right here. Let's do it. Last pack, and then I'm gonna grab something to eat. Because your boy is hungry. Okay, what do we got? What do we got? Alright. Card code to the wifey. Garchu was supposed to be a Raichu evolution. Alright, so is that true? Is that confirmed? Or did someone just make that theory up and it just sounded really good? Abra, a Diglett, a Drowsy, a Bulbasaur. Yes, it's true. Oh, that's sick. Okay. Bloom, Clefable, Dugtrio, a Golduck. Ooh, Ivysaur, let's go! It's not Venusaur, but I got an Ivysaur. And then, oh, what the fuck, Aerodactyl? Look at that! Goddamn! Sick! And can we finish off with a basic hollow? Yeah, basic. No hollow. Hey, so I got an Ivysaur, Blastoise, Charmeleon, Charizard. Bro, solid come up. I'd say I got pretty good pulls today. I'm very satisfied. I'm very happy. I'm very content. And then I might stream when I get my promo boxes for Alakazam and Zapdos. Zapdos? Keep Zapdos? Zapdos? Oh man, that was awesome. Thank you everyone for hanging out with me. I appreciate that. You guys have to stay here with me. Let me see if anybody's streaming actually, so that way I can, raid them. That'd be cool, right? Yeah, they were solid pulls today. Hey, shout out to my boys in Aston Fades. They're not a band anymore, but I miss them every day. Miss them every goddamn day. I still talk to Sky every day though, more or less. Sky's my boy. I got Sky's back. Nobody's streaming. Who do I raid? Who do I raid even though nobody is streaming? Let's do this. Let's do this. Who else is opening Pokemon cards right now? Let's just spread the love that way. Can I see who else is streaming this category? Browse. I just search Pokemon. I wanna spread the love to all the people that are currently playing this or like opening cards. Here we go. Let's go. And let's filter recommended to me, low to high. Do that. I don't think this person's American. Hispanic, France, English. Pokinate. If y'all have any recommendations on who I should raid, I will gladly take those since I have none of my friends are on. Oh, this guy's like all Pokemon'd out. 420 friendly? Let's do this guy. DC Coolest. He seems fun. Do the commands still work as they're supposed to? Raid. DC Coolest. Let's see if this works. I have to sign into Twitch. I'm already signed into Twitch. What the fuck? Alright, what if I do it from up here? Cut. Paste. Wait, are raids not a thing anymore? I don't see the thing coming up say I can raid them. Did they get rid of raids? Anybody know? I have no idea. This sucks. Oh well. I tried. Alright, I'm gonna get off, guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. Remember to eat something, stay hydrated. I'm gonna go eat right now. I'm gonna go hydrate right now. Love your faces, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace.